Slow robot, okay. Another philosophical one today. This is Yoda's Guide to Finishing Songs. Now, one of the things that I know I've had trouble with in the past, and I know a lot of people who are producers and consider themselves beat makers and that kind of thing, have trouble with. They've struggled with this kind of 4-bar syndrome, this 8-bar syndrome, where you're constantly coming up with cool ideas, and you sit down, you open your DAW, you write something cool, you play around with it for a couple hours, and you're really jamming on it. Then you close it down, you're good, feeling good for the day, and then you come back a couple days later, you're feeling inspired, and you start a new project, and you end up doing another 4-bar loop or an 8-bar loop there, and then rinse and repeat. You do this over and over the course of, like me, 10 years or more, and you have a whole bunch of crap on your hard drive. And I say crap, I mean that lovingly. And it's all sitting there on your hard drive. You got all these great ideas on your hard drive, and none of it's finished. Nothing is a finished song. So how do you finish? How do you finish these songs? These pieces of good music, how do you take them and put them into a format where you're ready to put them out into the world? One thing before I actually go into that is don't beat yourself up for having encountered this problem, because it's awesome that you have a problem where you end up with hours and hours of cool music sitting on your hard drive that wasn't there before. That's cool. You shouldn't feel bad about that, and you shouldn't feel bad about not finishing it. It's it's something that happens. It's very inspiring to open a piece of software and be able to come up with something that just speaks to you in the moment, and then you forget about it. It just happens. There's nothing wrong with that. So don't beat yourself up about it. But we want to finish some of this stuff, right? So the first thing is to recognize that there's this kind of idea out there that it's like, I can't put my ideas together, so I give up on songs. But really what you're saying there is, I don't put my ideas together because I give up on my songs. You're saying right in that statement that I give up, and that's the first problem. So you have all these ideas, and it's very easy to get kind of overwhelmed by that, right? Like, I have this idea, and you open it up and you're like, oh, this is great. What the hell am I supposed to do with it? I've been there. Of course I've been there. I have a ton of files on my hard drive that still are not finished, and that's okay. But if we want to finish them, we have to recognize that it's a decision that we have to make. It's a choice. It's not like an impossibility. So this is where Yoda comes in, right? There is no try, do or do not. I think I said that backwards, but Yoda says things backwards anyway, so who cares? Anyway, the point is, that's correct, right? There is no try. You either do it or you don't. And it's a choice. Do you want to finish it or do you not? If you do, you have to commit to it. You have to figure out what it is about this piece of music that you are going to take and keep pushing until you can make it into a full song. You have to figure out how to go from this idea to another section, or how you want to transition from one part to the next. What do you want to do in there? All this stuff they're all arbitrary decisions. The creative process is all arbitrary decision making. So there's no wrong anything. You can do whatever you want. And that can be both liberating and also very daunting, to have all those options at all times. How do I go through all those options and pick the one that's right for me? And in my experience, just do something. It doesn't even matter, because you're gonna make whatever choice you make. It's totally arbitrary. You just have to feel like you're moving in a direction, feel like you're moving in the right direction. So don't give up on your songs. Decide you want to finish them. That's the first step. Now, that's very, like I said, this is a philosophical one. I'll be doing, again, like I do in my other videos, I'll be doing some practical examples of how you might push yourself past these obstacles. But this is very esoteric, like, oh yeah, who cares, that guy's just rambling on and on. You can do the practical stuff, but you really do have to understand that it's a psychological mindset that you have to be willing to break out of, and you have to work to get past, because again, it's a choice to finish a song. So a little bit less philosophical, let's go into some slightly more practical things. So once you have worked on a piece of music for a certain amount of time, once you get it to a certain state of doneness musically, you're going to find you reach a point where it's kind of at a critical mass. And you're going to be, at that point, it's like, well, I've done so much work on it, I need to finish it. Like, there's no question anymore whether you're going to take it further. So what you can do is just make that decision right up front, for one. Or, that's hard to do. It's hard to just say, well, I've got this 4-bar loop, and now it's done enough that I can't stop now. But if you can get yourself to trick yourself into doing that, that's great. Otherwise, I'm going to have there's a couple of other things that we can do to kind of make it easier to get from that point to that critical mass point. And so the first thing is figuring out what you find most difficult about the process. And what I mean by that is, doing music takes, in 2020, if you're doing the whole thing yourself, you're not paying, an engineer to record your ideas, you're not paying a mastering engineer to do that, and you're not, hiring studio musicians to play the stuff for you. It's all on you. You have the DAW. You have to take care of all the stuff from making sure your DAW works and can record, all the way from that to recording, to mixing, mastering, exporting, all that stuff, everything in between, producing it, writing all the music, arranging everything. There's a lot there. So there's a lot to find. There's a lot that one person can stumble into that they have to take care of, even though it may not be the most enjoyable thing. So, for example, what is the most difficult part for me? It's the end. So I've come up to the point where I've recorded all my music, I've got it arranged, it's laid out how I want it, but I get to the point where I have to start dealing with the little minutia at the end, where I have to work on my pitch editing. I have to do the edge fades at the edge of my clips to make sure that there's no clicks and pops. I have to go through and clean up some timing. Maybe I might have to tweak some velocities on my MIDI tracks. And that stuff is super tedious for me, and I hate it. I love the rest of it, but I need to do that too, because if I don't, I'm not going to get the song finished. So understanding what it is that is most difficult for you is important. Then what do you do with that? You have to find a way to make that less annoying, or other ways. You figure out what kind of strategies work for you to get past that. So using myself as an example again, for me, it's very much a lot of that, like I said, is minutia. It's I have to spend, say I have, 10 tracks of vocals, with a bunch of doubles and that kind of stuff, and I need to go in and pitch edit some of that, because I'm not always the best singer. I'm a heck of a lot better now than I used to be, but I still have to clean a lot of that up. And that's really time consuming. So how do I take that, what feels like an absolutely monumental task? I've got, 10 tracks, and my verse is, 30 or 40 seconds long, and I have to figure out how I'm going to take that huge task and actually get through it, finish it. And for me, it's really breaking it down into smaller chunks. So that's something that I can do over time. I can open up Reason in the morning before I'm supposed to be working, a half hour before I need to be get ready for work, and I can do a track of pitch editing. I can do a track of, or I can do cleaning up those edge edits and doing my fades. I can do my fixing the velocities of my drums in the bridge or whatever it is. I can do one of those things for 15, 20 minutes, and I've made progress. And if you do that over the course of a couple days, you're going to get a lot further along. 3 days down the line, 4 days down the line, it's going to be pretty much done. So break it up into smaller tasks if you can. And what if that doesn't work for you? What if you aren't the type of person who works better, by breaking stuff up? Some people may find it more useful to, just push through. And that's okay too. If that works for you, then set aside, 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever it is on a Saturday or whatever day you have off, and focus on getting that thing that you hate done. Get it out of the way, and then bam, you're the day after you finish that, then you're back into something that is more enjoyable for you. So again, finding where your weakness is, and then finding a strategy that works for you for how you can continue to work through that over time, those are huge. Now, don't rush yourself, because most of us, the vast majority of us, don't have to work on a timeline. There's no deadline for us. So stressing out over, getting something done in a specific time frame isn't going to help you. Stress isn't great for creativity. It's only going to make it more difficult. The closer you get to, whatever perceived, deadline your arbitrary deadline you've put in front of you, if you're not on top of it along the way, your stress level is going to go up, and that's not going to help you finish it most of the time. And, well, maybe it will. I don't know. I guess it depends on the person, but as long as you're not feeling like you're required to do something in order to get the outcome, like, you don't need to put that arbitrary deadline there unless it's something that's going to help you, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. So again, that's the gist of it. You want to understand that it's a decision, understand that it's about committing to finishing something, and then trying to find your weaknesses and how you can minimize those, how you can push through those and push past those. And again, I will be doing some additional practical videos on how we can actually work through some of this stuff. One of the most important aspects of finishing a song is when you're trying to put it together. You have two different pieces of similar, but usually similar, but different music that you have to put them together. So transitions, that's probably going to be the next video, and I'll be talking about how you can, how transitioning and effective transitioning will help you finish your songs. But that's pretty much it. I hope this has helped in some way, and yeah, take care.